Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Nick Tan Chats. My name is Nick Tan, and on today's episode, I'll be chatting with you about something called Intuito, the Pendulum Act from Luca Volpe. So hi again guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for showing up, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for spending some time with me today. So today I'm shooting the episode in my kitchen. For some reason I can't get the lights to work, and so I've got some natural light here, and I figured I could just make use of this to quickly do up this episode for you guys. So today we'll be looking at a book. This is a release from Luca Volpe, the Italian mentalist, and this is actually featuring a routine that he calls Intuito, okay? Or I don't know, maybe it's pronounced as Intuito, or something like that. But yes, this is a card routine that is combined with pendulum work. This is kind of like a full act, a full routine, a full sequence that you can perform for a small group of people. Okay, now when I say small, I think you would probably do this for up to 30 people. This is not an effect that I think I'd perform for a stage show, a big stage show, but anything 30 and below, it's going to work perfectly. And incidentally, I've just recently started performing at a magic bar, here in Singapore. So I'm doing my show called Whispers of the Mind. Okay, and in this show itself, I do perform for small groups of people, and pendulums are also featured in this show, right? So I've got a whole pendulum sequence as well, where everyone in the audience gets a pendulum, they have a go at it, and then using the pendulum, I lead into my Q&A routine, right, to close off the performance. So in this episode, I'm just going to quickly describe to you some of the phases, that are involved in this particular routine. I don't think I'm revealing anything too much, because I think a description of this can be found on Penguin Magic. So what happens is, you have a beginning sequence, where the whole audience, up to 30 people perhaps, are each given a pendulum, and you take them through a kind of visualization exercise, okay? And then, the pendulums start to move, start to swing, and you kind of demonstrate to everybody that they can have this kind of mind-body connection, okay? So the pendulums are set aside, and then you introduce a deck of playing cards. Okay, so packets of cards are handed out into the audience. The deck is broken up, into many parts. They're all shuffled up. The cards are collected back. A group of cards is left in the audience, all right? After they've shuffled them, and you tell the spectators that keep those cards. We'll save them for the last part of the routine. So with the cards collected, you now elect 5 members of the audience, and each of them chooses one playing card. Okay, and now from here you start to use the pendulum and reveal each of those playing cards in different ways. So for the first spectator, the card is lost back into the deck, and then the cards are shuffled by the spectator, the cards are spread face up onto the table, and then using a pendulum, you're kind of guided towards where the first person's selection is. For the second spectator, you change things up a bit, and you involve them in a kind of truth teller, lie detector kind of a test, where you ask them questions about the identity of their card, and holding on to the pendulum, you can apparently discern whether they are telling the truth or lying, and from there you can work out the card that they are thinking of. For the third spectator, they remove an additional couple of cards, from the deck itself, and they mix in their selection with those cards, right? And then from here, with the cards face down, using the pendulum, they kind of narrow it down to one card, and that is the card that they are thinking of, right? So somehow they've kind of psychically, intuitively located their card. So for the fourth spectator, it's a bit different. You don't reveal the actual identity of the card itself. There is a kind of a reading, kind of an element to this part of the routine, whereby each of the suits, of the cards are explained. The person thinks of an area in their life where, it's as indicated by the card. You give a reading, and then you're able to reveal the suit of the card that they're thinking of. And then for the fifth spectator, you introduce another deck of cards, okay? An additional deck of cards, you hand this to someone, and they show what card they are thinking of. So for example, this says the 3 of Hearts, and the spectator holding on to the other deck, is given a pendulum. They kind of let it swing around and allow a number, right, from 1 to 52 to come into their mind. They name a number, 23 for example. You remove the cards, you count the cards onto the table, face down. okay? And then you show that the 23rd card is in fact the 3 of hearts, all right? The 5th spectator's selection. And then at the end of the routine, you explain how a pendulum can be used to, focus your mind and to clear your mind as well. And from there, you can create, quite incredible effects. Okay, so you gather up the cards, and if you remember, at this point, there are still cards in the audience, right? A stack of a small stack of cards in the audience. You now spread the cards on the table, look at them really quickly, close them up, and apparently you have managed to memorize the cards that are on the table, and then you kind of recall which cards you didn't see, and from here you can call out the exact cards that are in the audience. All right, so if you do this with a particular build, it will kind of elicit a nice close to the whole performance. So that is the routine, right? That is the routine of Intuito, the Pendulum act from Luca Volpe. And well, what do you need for this routine, right? You just need a whole bunch of pendulums, and for my own show, I do have a whole bunch of pendulums as well. I got them online, and I involve everyone in the opening sequence. Now, in the opening sequence for this routine, everyone gets a go at the pendulum thing, right? Getting into swing. And well, to us, as mentalists or magicians, it might seem like, a really trivial thing, but if played well, I can tell you that it plays really strongly. Some people are just really amazed, and it's really fun for the audience members as well. So that begins the whole of the Intuito routine, and I think that is a great way to introduce pendulums to an audience. As far as the playing cards are concerned, you need 2 decks of cards. All right, one is a regular deck with some prep work, okay, let's put it that way, and then you need another deck for the card at any number phase. Okay, now that uses a pretty standard kind of a gaffed deck, okay, but because the routine is so flexible, the phases are as such, right, but it's really entirely up to you as to how you want to bring about the effect, right? So for me, if I were to perform Intuito, the card at any number phase, I would probably use a different method, as the one that that Luca recommends. The one that he teaches, obviously it works really well, really simple to do. There's no brain work at all. But it's open to interpretation, I think, as to how you wish to bring about each of the effects. So at the start of the routine, after the pendulum sequence, you get a whole bunch of people involved. There's cards mixing and shuffling and stuff like that, and many people get involved, right? And then you get multiple people to choose a card, and from there you go into the routine. So what I like about this routine, and it's actually the way I like to structure my own shows as well, I like to get the work out of the way really early, and then I can focus on delivering the performance. Right, and Luca, having looked at a lot of his routines over the years, he does have this kind of an approach as well. And in fact, being a professional performer myself, I kind of like these sorts of methods, where there's no stress at all, right? You can just really just focus on the performance, and in doing so, you really have a good time, enjoy yourself in delivering the routine. And of course, because the routine's method is just so simple, a lot of the method itself is in the acting, and I really enjoy this part of performing mentalism, right? It's the whole acting thing, and it's something that you can rehearse, your inner dialogue, your inner script, whatever it is, right? It's really the conviction and delivering a convincing performance as possible, and because this whole routine gives you a structure that you already know how it's going to play out, you can just script, practice and rehearse before going out and delivering this performance. And again, right, because the routine is just so flexible, I mean, Luca gives you the framework, right? He gives you all the phases that happen in the routine, that he has found works well for the whole thing. But because it's so open to interpretation, you can figure out your own way, of doing the whole routine in the way that you prefer, right? If you want to have, a heavily gaffed version, you can. If you want a sleight of hand heavy version, you can. For me, I think I'd be comfortable just using the the sequence that Luca teaches with regard to the card sequence, right? The shuffle sequence and the card selection process. I might change a couple of things and add in a little bit just before the cards are selected, but it's not necessary. And then as for the card at any number sequence, I'll probably do it in the way I'm comfortable with, doing it up to this point. But yeah, as it is, it's a really easy to execute routine, and it's one that enables you to just go into the performance and deliver, a really relaxed and convincing performance. So currently, already doing a pendulum routine, would I use Intuito? And I think I will. I really want to give this a go because, well, the bar that I'm performing at has actually shifted to a different venue, and it's kind of like a small restaurant now, and it's got more seats and stuff. So I really think I can find a space for this whole routine. So I really want to give this a go. And I think if you are an experienced performer, and if you can see the value in having really simple methods, and then which enable you to just perform convincing mentalism, then I think this is something that you can consider picking up. You're not going to find groundbreaking new methods in this routine, okay? Let me just tell you that, right? So if you are like the kind that really is always looking for really groundbreaking methods, new techniques and stuff, you're not going to find that here, all right? But what Luca has done with this routine is he has combined pretty, I think standard, I don't mean it in a bad way, right? But pretty standard mentalism and card techniques and combine them in such a way that it makes for a really nice and logical and strong performance piece. Alright, but that's all I have to say about Intuito, the Pendulum Act. If you are interested to pick up a copy of this for yourselves, I will leave the link in the description box down below. It'll be found on Penguin Magic. But that's all for today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it as well. And once again, stay safe, take care of yourselves, have fun with your magic and your mentalism, and I will see you on the next episode of Nick Tan Chats.